Remember when Kate stood on those hospital steps hours after giving birth? Perfect hair, perfect dress, holding her newborn. That's been royal protocol for decades. Diana did it. Fergie did it. Every royal mother did it, except Meghan Markle. She refused. And now, a doctor has exposed the truth with medical proof that reveals why. The fake pregnancy lies are finally unraveling, and what she's revealed about Archie and Lilibet's births has millions in absolute shock. But here's the thing, plenty of people want privacy. That's understandable. What made people start questioning everything wasn't just the lack of hospital photos. It was what came next. The contradictions, the timeline issues that don't add up, the stories that keep changing. Every interview brings a new version of events. Every public appearance raises more questions than answers. And once people started noticing the inconsistencies, they couldn't stop seeing them everywhere. This isn't about denying someone privacy. This is about basic facts that don't line up, medical timelines that professionals say are impossible, documentation that doesn't exist when it should, and a level of secrecy that goes way beyond normal boundaries into something else entirely, something that demands answers. But the secrecy was just the beginning. The timeline issues. That's where things get really interesting. Let's start with the birth announcement. The palace got the timing wrong. Think about that. The official royal announcement got it wrong because they thought Meghan was in labor when she'd apparently already delivered. How does that happen? The palace has centuries of experience with royal births. They have systems in place, protocols that ensure accuracy. Yet somehow, with this birth, they were caught off guard. They announced she was in labor when the baby had already arrived. That's not a small miscommunication. That suggests they weren't informed in real time. That suggests something broke down in the usual chain of communication. Then there's the hospital departure. Meghan claims she left within 2 hours of giving birth. 2 hours. Any medical professional will tell you that's not standard protocol, especially for someone in their late 30s, especially after epidurals. There are post-delivery checks, monitoring periods, risk assessments for complications, blood pressure monitoring, checking for hemorrhaging, ensuring the mother can walk safely. You don't just bounce out of a hospital 2 hours after major medical events. Insurance won't even let you. Hospitals have liability concerns. But supposedly, Meghan was in and out faster than someone getting a minor procedure. But here's where it gets weirder. The baptism photo. The official christening picture of Archie. The picture info on that image shows it was taken on May 8th, 2019. Archie was born May 6th, 2019. So either that's the fastest royal christening in history, or something's off with the dates. Multiple people have pointed this out. The metadata is right there. Digital photos don't lie about their creation date. That's embedded information. And during the time period when the second child was supposedly born, hospitals had strict protocols. Masks required, limited visitors, temperature checks at the door, social distancing enforced. Yet the home video footage shows none of that. Hospital staff have confirmed the rules were rigid during that time. No exceptions were made. So how does that footage exist without following protocols? Either the timeline is wrong, or the location is wrong, or something else entirely is going on. And then the stories started changing. Let's talk about the photographer situation because this one is fascinating. In the Oprah interview, Meghan said she didn't want to do the hospital photo op because of alleged remarks about her unborn child. That was version 1. Then version 2 appeared. She said she didn't want photographers blocking the emergency exit at Portland Hospital. Except Portland Hospital doesn't have a publicized emergency exit. There's no public-facing emergency entrance at all. So that explanation doesn't hold up. Then came version 3. In another interview, she said nobody even asked her for a photo. Nobody requested it. 3 completely different explanations for the same event. Which one is true? And it's not just Meghan's accounts that conflict. Harry's versions don't match either. In his book, he describes being at the hospital. He talks about inhaling an entire tank of nitrous oxide meant for Meghan. An entire tank. Any medical professional reading that had the same reaction. Where were the nurses? Where were the doctors? That's a controlled substance. That's dangerous. That could cause serious health issues. Yet supposedly hospital staff just watched this happen and did nothing? The story doesn't track with basic medical supervision. Then a medical professional decided to break her silence. A doctor has spoken out. She indicates that sources who have allegedly informed her Meghan Markle might never have been pregnant or had kids. She mentions pharmaceutical company connections. She raises questions about conventional pregnancy and birth. Now, these are her claims, her assertions. But here's what's interesting. When someone makes claims this serious about public figures, and those figures have the resources to respond legally, silence speaks volumes. And she's not the only one pointing out these doubts. Let's look at what people are examining. Harry's childhood medical history is documented. He had a procedure at age 3. That's on record. Then there's the hair loss medication he's reportedly been taking for years. Anyone familiar with certain medications knows they come with specific side effects, fertility-related side effects. Combine that with Meghan being an older mother, and people start doing the math. Then there are the rumors from her first marriage, suggestions that there were fertility concerns, suggestions of a previous procedure that could have affected her ability to conceive. Again, these are rumors, but they're persistent rumors from multiple sources. And when you add them all up, questions emerge. There's also the timeline of her absence. She was away from the children for 15 days, 15 full days. And remember the home video? The one released during strict hospital protocols? Staff at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital confirmed that during that specific time period, fathers weren't allowed in delivery rooms without masks. Couples had to be masked at all times. Yet, the footage shows something different entirely. There's also the matter of her appearance changes throughout the pregnancy. Photos from different events showed dramatic differences. Sometimes the bump appears higher, sometimes lower, sometimes larger, sometimes smaller. People have compared images from the same week and noticed inconsistencies. Professional photographers who work with pregnant women regularly have pointed out that the shape and position don't follow normal pregnancy progression. And when people mention these observations, they're immediately shut down, called conspiracy theorists, attacked online. But they're just pointing at photographs, at documented, time-stamped images that don't align. So why hasn't the palace said anything? Here's the situation the royal family finds themselves in. These are the first children in the line of succession whose origins aren't clearly documented in public record. That's unprecedented. Throughout history, royal births have been witnessed, documented, verified. It's fundamental to the succession. It's not about being invasive. It's about legitimacy, about maintaining the integrity of the monarchy. But with these children, that standard documentation doesn't exist publicly. So the palace has two options. Option 1, address the questions directly. Request documentation, verify everything publicly. But that opens them up to accusations of racism, harassment, and attacking Meghan. The headlines write themselves. Option 2, stay silent. Support the story as presented. Hope the questions fade. But they haven't faded. They've grown. And now the palace is stuck. If they went along with unverified information, they're complicit. If they demand verification now, they look suspicious. Some people believe this is exactly the leverage Meghan holds, that the palace supported her version of events, and now they can't backtrack without massive consequences. There's also the protection factor. Despite mounting controversies, despite contradictions, she seems shielded from the scrutiny others face. Pharmaceutical companies ran commercials during her Oprah interview. Major media outlets handle her with kid gloves. Meanwhile, other royals face brutal coverage for minor issues. Why the different standard? What's really going on behind the scenes? Think about how Kate gets treated for her fashion choices, how Camilla was dragged through the mud for years, how Princess Anne's kids faced constant questioning. But Meghan, despite all these timeline issues, despite all these contradictions, gets protected. There's a coordinated effort to suppress any discussion of these topics. And that protection, that unusual shielding from normal scrutiny, that makes people more suspicious. When you silence questions instead of answering them, you create more doubt. When you attack people for simply asking for documentation, you look like you're hiding something. The royal family knows this. They're watching it unfold in real time, but they're trapped by their own early decisions to go along with everything without verification. In an age where everything requires receipts, where screenshots live forever, where metadata tells the truth, how do these questions remain unanswered? We're talking about the royal succession. We're talking about children in line to the throne. This isn't gossip. This isn't casual speculation. These are legitimate questions about documentation, about timelines, about contradictory statements from the people involved. When a doctor puts her professional credentials on the line to raise concerns, that matters. When multiple stories don't align, that matters. When the math simply doesn't add up, that matters. The palace's silence doesn't make the questions disappear, it makes them louder. Every new interview that adds another contradiction, every timeline that doesn't compute, every piece of evidence that people examine, it all builds into something that can't be ignored anymore. This isn't about privacy. Privacy is reasonable. This is about transparency regarding the line of succession, about maintaining the standards that have existed for centuries, about answering basic questions with verifiable information. So what do you think explains all these timeline issues? Drop your theories in the comments below. Hit that like button if this made you think differently. Share this with someone who needs to see it. And subscribe because we're not done uncovering what others won't talk about. Let's keep this conversation going.